Hey Virgo, what's up? What I'm seeing as we begin with the energy for your reading is looking like you have a lot going on. I don't know if this is just like mental activity that you have happening right now, or like, look at this pile of stuff in front of me that I have to do. But I see overall there can be some pressure that you're experiencing, and definitely feels like this can be impacting your mind and your mind frame as well. It can also be something where like maybe you're managing things well, but it just like feels kind of busy right now. That can be something too that you are experiencing. We're starting off with Three of Pentacles. So this can be a time when there's like listening and there's working together that's happening, and you can also be trying to remain in touch as this is going on. So it's like, how do I work with this person over here and still remain like intact with myself here, and make sure that I'm still like listening to myself and that I'm tuned in and that I'm like staying plugged in here while I have life kind of going on and moving on around me. All right, so I'm looking at the Three of Pentacles. We have King of Pentacles, we have King of Wands, we also have Judgment here. This can be a time when you are taking inventory of what it is that you need to do, of what it is that what's expected of you, what you're expecting of yourself, maybe what's expected of you when you're involved in a situation like this. And it can also be something where if this is another person that you're working with, you guys can both be two people that can sort of take the reins in a situation. If this is all just you with you, it can be a time when you're really expected to be stepping up, where you're in charge of things. So you're kind of the leader within this situation that you're involved in. And you can also be overseeing too. There can be some big changes that are being implemented. Not only are you getting down to what you want, but you can also be figuring out like what power you have to be making that happen, and really how to assert yourself in the given circumstance. So you can be just looking at your mind right now, looking at what's in front of you, and be figuring out, how exactly do I make this happen? You can be organizing things right now because we have Mercury and we have Pluto here. You can be like very obsessively looking at things. I'm also seeing Scorpio, and I'm seeing the sun here too. And this can give like a deep fervor for what you have going on. It can give deep passion and deep insight about what it is that you have going on. You can really want to like be up close and personal with this process. And you can also be seeing the way that things are evolving and be witnessing that, which also means too that there can be some things about this process that are being picked off right now, because you feel like that's going to allow for a more like monumental type of growth that you want. So yeah, if you have, it's kind of like if you look at this situation as if it is a plant, there are maybe some pieces that you have been feeling like need to be cut off in order for this plant to thrive even more. And so that can be something that you're doing where it's becoming clear that that is really the protocol that you want to be following here. And it can be like, in order to make things happen in the way that I want to, this is just something that I need to do, and I'm not shying away from that, and I'm not looking away from that, because I want to make this happen. So I'm seeing this very, I think you're not compromising on this vision that you have, and that if you're like finding and maybe creating the means to make that happen. And I also see you understanding too the responsibility that you have, where it's like, if it's not me doing this, this isn't going to happen, and I want this badly enough that I'm willing to do that. And so you can be putting in a lot of time into like this vision that you have, how you make this happen, it just all focused around this thing. I feel like you're very just like, this is all you're seeing right now. So you can just be like totally 100% focused on this, and like, by any means necessary, how am I going to make this happen, even if I have to stop this or I have to cut that part off there, because this is really what I care about. So I see like one big thing that there's a lot of focus on right now. But what that also means too is that there may be other things that have to be given up in order for you to like put your sole focus on this, and you can feel like it's necessary for you to be doing that. So this can mean like maybe other things that you wanted are coming to an end, or other stuff where you were like, yeah, that's like a bit of a dream for me, or this is something that I would like to happen. You can be closing those things out, at least for now, just so you can focus on this area of your life, because it's like that important to you, and maybe even requires that much devotion and attention currently. But I will say this looks like, because this is something that you're doing, there can be some other things that you may still want. Those things, like the desire for those things hasn't gone away, but you can feel like you want this more, and so that's like your priority right now. So what you can be seeing is that there's like a bit of a trade-off that's happening within the energy, and that choices are being made, but you can feel like it's worth it to you, because I'm seeing you be like very, very focused on this currently. So yeah, I will say there definitely can be some stuff where like, I'm gonna have to let this go, or I'm gonna have to like stop feeding into this in order to make this happen, but that it is worth it to me. And that doesn't mean that those dreams like necessarily die, but it can be that that's like not what you're going to be putting your energy into right now. You may be putting things on hold, or you may be like, yeah, I want that, but it's not something that I'm going to be pursuing right now, because it's really important for me to pursue this. So I think that you're getting more clear on the way that you want your life to look, especially with this particular thing, and like devoting yourself to this completely. And it can be almost like an obsessive kind of like work ethic that you have with this right now, but you can feel like that's the way that you're going to make this happen. So it can just be what you deem as being necessary because you want this. I think this is also having you do some things that maybe you wouldn't prefer to do, but you kind of have to, given the position that you're in. And what this means too is that there are some things that pop up that it looks like you have to either decline, say no, push them away, be like, no, I'm not going to get involved in that, or I'm not going to keep doing this, or like, no, I don't want that. There's a lot of this all around that's going on, where you have to be very clear about that. So you can also be taking a look at things that you're not really feeling and that you have to be very direct about that. That may not be something that you always prefer to do, but this may just require that of you too. Because there can also be a sense of passion that you want to feel about most of the things that you have going on right now. And so this is going to be a necessary part. It's kind of like if you have situations where other people sort of like swindle you into doing things or like want to sign you up for stuff, but you don't really want to, but before you weren't really saying no or putting your foot down. Now can be a time when you become more direct and more clear, like, no, that's not part of this for me. This is all I'm focusing on right now. So I'm not going to be able to do that, or I don't want to do that. It can be a time when you just like do those sorts of things. And even though, again, like you may not necessarily prefer to have to do that, it feels like it's a necessary sacrifice in order for you to make things happen. And like, what's more important to you? You living your life and having your storylines be the way that you want them to, or people pleasing. So this can just be a big theme. And I think also like with the sign of Virgo, right? Virgo is archetypally speaking connected with service. How may I help? How may I serve you? So when you're turning and putting the focus inward on yourself and what you want for yourself and taking charge of your life in this way and your mind in this way and your vision in this way for what it is that you want to be building, and you're the architect of that, when you have things pulling your energy other places, like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you do this? Can you do that? To the point where you're neglecting the things that you want to be building, it comes time for you to assert yourself in a different way, or maybe like assert yourself to begin with and be clear to begin with. And it can be a time when, I wouldn't really call this being selfish. I just think that you're more focused on yourself right now. And so it takes away your energy from other people. And it may not be the way that you always do things, but you can be like, this is my life and I want this. And so I'm going to have to start doing things this way. And I'm also going to have to not be participating in these things that I don't want to, because I think you've had some things going on that you haven't really liked or you haven't really wanted, that you can have been keeping around, maybe to save face a little bit or to like not upset other people. And now can be a time when you're looking at stuff and be like, I don't want to work on that, or like I don't feel passionate about this, or I don't really have the motivation for this, and I want to be spending my time doing things that I feel really like excited about. So yeah, that means sometimes you're going to have to say no. And I think some things are coming up here where you're going to have to be, it's not even a confrontational energy. It's just you being direct and you being clear. And assertive. So that also means too that, also Virgo is a mutable sign. Mutable signs are connected with flexibility and adapting. You can also be very used to adapting and bending and catering to other people, and now is a time where you are the one that's making demands, and you are the one that's becoming, I think, a little bit less flexible when it comes to other people, because you want to focus on yourself and what you have going on now. So because of that, it puts you in like a little bit more of a stern energy, but it's really necessary right now in order for that to happen. And I think also too, something that you can see is that you're not going to be feeling like you're being like bossed around so much, or like people pleasing so much when it comes to like other people. So this can mean too that when you have energies coming in that feel too heavy-handed within your storyline, that you can be stepping into that energy and saying no to that, or saying like, I'm the one that's in charge of me and what I have going on, not you. You're not determining that for me. So this can be something that you see as happening now as you're stepping up into this. I will say this too, there can be this part of you that isn't like totally the happiest about certain changes that are happening, that it feels like you're the one that's making these changes, but at the same time, it feels like it's necessary in order for you to be creating what it is that you want. So you may not want to have to do these things, but you know that you have to do it in order to have this process be successful for you. So that is why you're doing it. So I'm seeing you become very goal-oriented in that way as it relates to this. And overall, just becoming more clear on what you want and what you don't want, and making choices to not continue participating in these things that you don't want or don't like feel that deep love for. Because this is about what you want now. And that can be something that you're feeling more intensely. Yeah, some of you, I am seeing a situation where you could have been like working on something with someone. I don't know what this is. It doesn't, it can be a number of things. But it looks like something that you can decide. You know, this is a message that came through in one of the readings yesterday. Was this thing about there being an ability to continue investing in something, but you can look at it and feel like even though you could continue to do that, you're not going to continue to do that because it could be like getting in the way of what you want more. So even though you look at something and know that you could keep investing in that path, you can be deciding that it's not something that you want to do right now, and you can be closing it out. And yeah, you may not want to have to do this, but you can be looking at it and be like, this has to happen, otherwise you can be sacrificing something that you don't want to sacrifice. You can be compromising something that you don't want to compromise. When you can overall be honoring the way that you feel. I think a really, really huge part of this, a really huge theme of this is doing the difficult things that we may not necessarily want to do, but we have to do in order for things to be better. And for there to be sometimes a smaller sacrifice in order to not jeopardize a bigger dream, a bigger drive, a bigger vision that you have of what you want most of all, or more than these other things. So I also see stuff about like what you are prioritizing as coming up, and I also see you having to do things that I think like on a normal day you wouldn't prefer to do and may try to avoid, that now you're like, if I avoid this and if I don't do this, it's going to cost me something much bigger, and I don't want to do that. And so I am being pushed to do things that maybe I feel uncomfortable with, but it's creating the pathway for what I want. And I know that that's not going to happen unless I do this. And so I'm willing to grow in that direction, even though this type of growth feels very uncomfortable for me. And so I do see some things that maybe before you were keeping your options open a little bit now, or you were exploring different things and you weren't making choices. And now can be a time when big choices are being made because what you want is becoming so clear to you. And I think this is like what you want most of all, or what you want more than some other things, and that being a big aspect of this. So it's like overall a time of transition for you, but it's going to make things feel more focused, and you're gonna have like less going on overall, but you're gonna feel good about this because this feels like a time when the things that you're connecting with, I think that you're going to feel like kind of obsessively driven in connecting with those things. And so it may be stuff that you want to put a lot of your time and energy and focus and devotion on, and not have like a bunch of things going on and feel like you're spread sort of thin or like bouncing all over the place. So it feels like you may just have a couple main things that are going on, that's what like most of your energy and attention is going to be put on. Because overall it feels like you have too much stuff going on if you don't do this now, and the pruning needs to happen. And yeah, you may not want to do this, you may not like to do this, but you know that you have to. So that's what I'm seeing the theme be overall for you. So you're being smart about your investments and you're taking charge of things. And I do see the theme of people pleasing and confronting that coming up for you too. And working more hand in hand with your true, honest feelings. And then also understanding what needs to come to an end in order for you to give the things that you want most of all your full attention and focus in the way that you want to. And in the way that you may know that you need to in order to really make things happen. Once this stuff starts moving and things start being picked off, stuff is going to get easier. You can be at the height of things feeling kind of challenging right now, but I'm seeing it's just going to be like downhill from here where it gets a lot easier. All right, we are going to leave the reading here. I'd like to thank everyone for connecting and tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.